Hey, you're watching Vinyl 4 Miles, your best resource for music, audio gear, and vinyl reviews. Today we're looking at Apple's latest over-ear headphone offering, the AirPods Max. This is my brutally honest review of these headphones. Stick around, you're not going to want to miss this. All right, so by now I'm sure you've seen 100 reviews on the Apple AirPods Max. There's all kinds of controversy surrounding them with the $549 price point. 90% of these reviews were done within like 1 day of using the headphones. They didn't sit with them. I didn't see any applications with analog audio. So my review has been over a week of me using these every day for at least 5 hours a day. I put these through every single test I can think of, including listening to some analog audio, some vinyl. So if you're wondering why you should listen to me at all, well, I'm a musician. I've been in the music industry for over 20 years. I just released some music if you want to check that out. I'm gonna kick this off with the build and ergonomics of the headphones. I already did an unboxing. If you want to check that out, the link is up here. If you hate the sound of my voice, you can watch that unboxing because I do not talk in it. Here is what the pair of headphones look like out of the box. You've probably heard everyone talk massive trash on this case. So now moving on to the build and construction, case out of the way. These headphones, when you pull them out of the box, they feel like solid headphones. They feel like a $500 pair of headphones should feel. You're missing all the luxury leather, but what you don't get in leather, you get in this like knit fabric experience that is pretty unique to Apple. I haven't seen it on any other headphone, and there might be a really good reason why other headphones aren't doing what they're doing. Nonetheless, the build quality on this thing is just outstanding. When it comes to the adjustment, if we're going from the top down, we have this mesh canopy that they're calling it that does a great job of dispersing the weight of the headphones with a surprisingly large amount of bounce on it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, for a pair of headphones this expensive, this is not replaceable. So if you rip this pad, you're screwed. So while it looks cool and it functions great, it's pretty high risk for being broken. Moving down from the canopy, everything is wrapped in this like silicone matte rubbery substance that it does feel really good to the touch, and it actually is not very irritable if it does touch your skin, which is good. Unless you have a silicone allergy, then you should not buy these headphones. And then there's the adjuster. It looks like this will be really hard to wear down, so you could probably expect this to last for years to come. Moving down from the adjuster, we have some anodized aluminum ear cups, which is really nice to kind of have a old school kind of throwback look to them with a more rectangular appeal on here. There are 9 microphones surrounding the ear cups, which is great for your transparency mode and your noise cancellation. Moving along the side here, you do have physical touch controls. So you have a button on one side that pretty much does all of your noise canceling, your transparency, and your Bluetooth pairing. And then you do have this digital crown, same thing that you get on your Apple Watch, much bigger and actually much more satisfying to turn up and down and push in. This button as well is your play pause, answer the phone, press it twice to skip a track, press it 3 times to go back, and then press and hold it to pull up Siri. Moving into the inside of the build, you get these mesh fabric knit ear pads. I've never seen a pair of headphones use this type of material before. I hope they're antimicrobial because you do sweat when you wear these. There's no way around that. And this does absorb the sweat. So hopefully it has some like antimicrobial properties on it. On the inside of each one of the ear cups, there is a knitted left or right. So you can figure out which ear it's supposed to go on. And then moving beyond the ear pads, if you were to pop this off, you do get to take a good look at the driver on the inside. And right here, you can see that is the ear sensor. So that'll know if you take the headphones on or off, and it's present on both sides of the headphones. It is using a 40mm driver. I thought it was straight open, but it turns out there's a very, very micro thin layer of mesh protecting the driver, which is great. So it's not gonna get hairs and all kinds of other stuff in there. When you're putting back on your cups, keep in mind where the sensor hole is. There's a little hole here. Make sure it aligns with the sensor. Otherwise, your on and off feature will not work. I want to dive into some ergonomics. I have a moderately large size head. Where it comes into play with the ergonomics, these are pretty heavy headphones, and you would think that they would put a ton of pressure on the top of your head, but the reality is they don't. That mesh canopy that Apple developed is actually really, really effective. And it does an excellent job at dispersing the weight off the top of your head. However, there is a ton of pressure on the left and right side of your head. And if you're someone like me who wears glasses for more than half the day when you're working, that is not very comfortable. Since I have a moderately large head, there's a lot of clamping pressure that goes down on the side of your head. So if you have a big head, this might not be very comfortable for you. Comfort is always subjective with headphones because different head sizes, different ear sizes, different tolerances of what we consider to be comfortable. For me, unfortunately, these are not very comfortable after about 1 hour of use. I do find my ears getting very warm and I do get a little fatigued around my neck and on my ears. And if you were to look at the clamping force on this thing, like they're very, like you can bend these pretty far and they snap back into place. So there's a lot of pressure. Unfortunately, this doesn't create a perfect seal on my ears. I do have a beard, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I noticed the very back right here is just wide open. So when you put these on, there's no seal that is created there. If I were to compare them to my Sony XM4s, there is a full seal. So I can't stick my finger in here in the back. So the XM4s, while they're tighter on my ears, they do have a full seal. And that honestly really affects the noise cancellation on these headphones. So now that we covered ergonomics, let's just dive into features and sound. So I'm gonna tackle the cool features first, all right? Not app specific. So noise cancellation. Do these have great noise cancellation? 100%, yes, these are amazing noise cancellation. The technology is actually better than Sony and better than Bose. But because you do have that one space in the back of your ear that's not fully covered, maybe if you have a smaller head, it might be covered for you, but for me, it wasn't. It does let sound leak in from certain angles. So if there is noise coming from straight in front of me, it fully blocks out the noise. When I'm working though, my children are usually in the room behind me and sound was leaking into the bottom of these headphones and I can hear, with noise cancellation on, a lot of noise. So let's go to my favorite feature on these headphones. What these headphones do better than any headphone on the market is the transparency mode. This is the best transparency mode I've heard in my life. It feels like you're not even wearing a pair of headphones. Noises come from all directions. You can hear people behind you, in front of you, on the side of you. It amplifies your voice to the point where it's like you sound better with the headphones on than you do in real life. It enhances your hearing. It's actually pretty crazy. It does this because there's 9 microphones wrapped around the ear cups. So it's taking omnidirectional sound, pulling it in and amplifying it into your ears. It has adaptive sound qualities with the H1 chip on the inside too. So like as you turn your head or as noises come from different areas, it just sounds insanely real. And the downside is you're gonna have to use transparency mode because if you're trying to have a conversation with someone, you take these headphones off and put them around your neck, it feels like someone's lightly strangling you. These headphones are very tight around your neck and you're like, well, why don't you just lay them flat? Well, if you lay them flat like this, it is even tighter. And if you don't believe me, that's pretty tight. Extremely uncomfortable. So you're kind of screwed with this headphone. You either have to wear it and have transparency mode on, where it's like the closest thing to not wearing headphones, or you're gonna have to hold it by the handle with the case on to protect it while you're walking around like a purse, or run the risk of putting this into your bag unprotected. Kind of don't understand why the tension's so hard on these headphones. So now let's just dive into overall sound quality. How do these compare to the other headphones on the market right now? They're better, all right? I'm not gonna lie, these sound way better. There's virtually zero distortion. They get plenty loud. There's a few tricks you can do too to make them even louder if you don't think this is loud enough, but just keep in mind, you will lose some hearing eventually. The drivers are using 40mm drivers, so just like all the other headphones I have, like my Sonys, like my Bose, like everything else I have, 40mm drivers seem to be the standard, and some of the higher audiophile quality have dual drivers, but this is just a single custom developed driver from Apple, which if you're curious, pop the earbud off and you can look right in there, sorry, the ear pad off, and you can look right in there to see the driver itself. So super high quality. Audio quality is excellent. It's a pretty equal sound space. So if you're listening to something like classical, every single instrument tends to shine. If you're listening to some rock music, the vocals tend to pop out. If you're listening to heavy metal, which I listen to a lot of metal with these, the bass is appropriately in the mix with the mids. And then you hear all of the dirt and the grind on the guitar with the vocals layered on top. It's just beautiful the way that everything sounds on these headphones. Full disclosure, I was using Tidal with these headphones, and the best experience I had, the highest audio quality that I could pull out of these headphones was the Mac version of Tidal on a MacBook Pro. So once you connect your headphones to your MacBook Pro and you're using Tidal, you click on the speaker icon, you'll see your headphones, whatever you labeled them as, and there'll be a more settings button. You can actually override the default volume on these to make them even louder. You could remove compression on the MacBook Pro or whatever PC you're using, and just get the overall best experience and try to find some Tidal albums that have master quality or hi-fi quality. That being said, this takes AAC codecs for Bluetooth. It is using Bluetooth 5.0, but you can't get some of those high-res audio codecs like you can with the Sony XM4s. But the XM4's bass is so powerful, it muddies up all of your highs. So I didn't really hear a huge difference to my ear when it came to the higher codecs on the Sonys versus the AAC on AirPods Max using Tidal. So, I mean, it's up to you. You can use a high-res player. I know those pair better with the Sonys. You could probably pull out some good audio out of that. There's just something with the XM4s that muddies the sound from the bass versus these. So moving on to features, along with the sound, there's no EQ for these headphones. Now, if you're using Apple Music, there's an EQ built into Apple Music, but being 100% honest, that is the trashiest EQ of all time. It just has a bunch of presets for like loud, vocal, treble, bass, energize, or something like that, and it just sounds like crap. You're best off not messing with the EQ settings on this headphone. So what's the best use for these headphones? Most people I've seen review these headphones, and I've seen a lot of audiophile headphone reviews of these, which make no sense to me because these clearly are not audiophile headphones. They're wireless. You're never gonna get the highest quality audiophile sound out of a wireless pair of headphones. So if you're an audiophile, you have to accept the fact that these are not gonna be the highest quality sound possible. They sound great. There's not a lot of distortion. You can turn them up pretty loud. They're not gonna be audiophile quality. The best use for these headphones is not just for music. So Apple introduced spatial audio with the AirPods Pro, and spatial audio works on these. It's kind of a gimmick. It's not something that I can't live without. It's the best way I can compare spatial audio is not necessarily surround sound. The best way I can put it is it makes you feel like you're sitting in a movie theater watching a movie. So you could sit down and use your iPhone or iPad, watch a movie, and then as you turn your head, the sound stays centered, right? In 360 degree. It has like a gyrometer in here or something that recognizes when your head's moving, and it adjusts it with the sound. It's cool. It mimics going to a theater, right? But it doesn't work on the Apple TV. I'm not gonna feel like I'm in the movies watching my small phone or iPad, and I couldn't get spatial audio to work on my MacBook Pro either. So Apple claims that this has like this automatic switching between all their devices. Like if you sign into your Apple ID across your MacBook, your tablet, your iPad, your phone, whatever, that it will automatically sync the audio. So like if I watch a video on my MacBook Pro and then I get a phone call, it automatically switches to my phone. A few things that will only work with iOS 14, so make sure you upgrade your iOS on your phone. Only works with Mac, and it only works on Big Sur. So if you have a MacBook Pro, you have to make sure you upgrade to Big Sur. However, I could not get it to work at all. Like that was a huge selling point for me, multitasking while I'm working. I want to be able to work, and then if I get a phone call, I switch over. If I want to listen to music on my phone or switch to the PC to watch a video, it doesn't work. I couldn't get it to work, and I found tons of people who couldn't get it to work either. So Apple, I have no idea what on earth is going on, but there's a ton of people who can't use the feature that you said these headphones have, which is multi-connectivity, which is completely not working for me. So another thing that just completely blew my mind was there's so many features hidden in iOS. Why they don't just create like an AirPods app that has all of these in one spot? Like you literally have to go into accessibility to get all of the features. So go to settings, scroll down to accessibility, then you're gonna go down to audio and visual, then you're gonna go into headphone accommodations. You can do left and right split on your headphone here if you want, but you're gonna go into headphone accommodations, and there's this setting here, balanced tone, which kind of gives you a little bit of a scoop in the range of the audio. Vocal range kind of bumps up the vocal mids a little bit, and you can choose if it's strong, moderate, or slight. And then brightness, which in my opinion, like I guess if you have hearing loss, this will be good for you, but I think it sounds pretty bad. So I keep it on balanced and I keep it at moderate. You can play a sample and then you can also apply it to your phone or media. There's also this custom audio setup that you can go through for movies and music and all that stuff. So that's really the extent. If you want to use EQ with Apple Music, go to settings, scroll down to music, And then you will go to the very bottom here and there's an EQ. So if you click on EQ, there's all these different EQ settings. I honestly think they sound pretty terrible, so I leave it off. There's the sound check, and then there's also some like volume limiter on here, which I usually try to turn off. And that's it. That's really all the hidden features that you have with the headphones. So kind of a huge miss, because that EQ setting only applies to Apple Music. So if you're into Deezer or you're using Tidal or some other higher quality hi-fi apps that Apple doesn't provide in Apple Music, which I don't know why they release a high quality headphone without having high res audio, but you're not gonna be able to EQ these headphones. So if you're into EQ, you like to change the settings, this is probably not the pair of headphones for you. All right, so that being said, I'm gonna go on to reported issues. So there are issues. That's why I waited to do a review of these headphones. Everyone was like chomping at the bit. And if you noticed, like some of the earliest reviews came like a few days before the headphones were released. They didn't come like 2 months before they're released like we typically see with audio gear. That tells me the R&D of these headphones were rushed for the holiday season. They were probably just trying to sell out, which they did sell out instantly. I was able to get a pair. These weren't sent to me, by the way. I was able to get a pair from Best Buy like right away, so I was pretty lucky to get these. They're on back order right now. I've seen people paying up to $1,000 for these headphones, which is pretty crazy because they're definitely not worth $1,000. But there's been all kinds of issues. The first issue that I already went over is the automatic switching between your Apple ecosystem doesn't really work for a ton of users. Why? I don't understand. Some more issues are people are complaining that the noise cancellation levels are not adjustable like they are with Bose and Sony and so many other headphone manufacturers, and Jabra included, which no one ever talks about Jabra, but they have some of the best noise cancellation on the market. But these headphones, it's either on, off, or transparency. There's like no in between. They could probably fix that with some like firmware upgrades and some software upgrades, but another ding right there. Another very, very concerning issue I've seen with people is they're getting water or condensation buildup inside of your ear cup, which makes sense since these are aluminum ear cups, and then you have like a mesh fabric that kind of gets kind of warm. So you have like a cold outside than the heat of your body. So it kind of makes sense, but these headphones are not IP rated. So I can quickly demonstrate. If you just were to blow like hot air into here, if I were to look in here, there's condensation already built up just by me blowing my breath in here. So that's a huge issue and Apple needs to address it. Are they gonna have to recall these headphones? I really don't know. That's why I was waiting to give this review to see what kind of issues are coming out. Another huge problem is they're genius, right? Apple's genius for creating a removable ear cup like this, but you get so much stuff on the inside. I don't know if it creates a full seal or what, but all kinds of little hairs and stuff in here. Luckily there's a mesh canopy thing in between the driver and the ear cup, but they're gonna be prone to losing because they come off so easily. Like I barely put any pressure on that and it just flew off. So, I mean, they could have put a latch or something or a stronger magnet on here so your ear pads don't fall off. Maybe they're banking on the fact that you're gonna lose them so they can sell you new ones at $69 a pop. There are a pair of headphones you can get for $69 that sound excellent. So that's another drawback right there. But they are genius because people can take a mold of this and literally have like a whole aftermarket of ear pads for these headphones. Same thing with cases. They give you the world's worst case. So now you're gonna have to spend more money on buying a case, which you should for a pair of $500 headphones or $550 headphones. You should have a hard case, especially if you're traveling with them. So now you're gonna have to go spend some more money on getting a case. Another problem if they're out like this and you're just walking around, they constantly like bang into each other. Like I was walking around last night, like moving from room to room, and it's just like they're just so noisy. So you're gonna have to get like a gel cover or something, or maybe like a small piece of like airplane tape or tape here to protect it. But they would have made the tolerance a little wider, that wouldn't be happening. So aside from that, I've had some other reports of people not being able to turn the volume up and down, some reports of it dropping Bluetooth connections with non-Apple devices. I didn't really have that problem. I connected this to my turntable, which sounded great. These headphones sound so good with the turntable. Now you can either wire these using this cable that cost about 35 bucks. Don't ask me why I bought this dumb cable. Either way, you completely remove latency if you use this cable. You can use it with video editing, listen to your turntable, whatever. And audio just sounds actually even better using the cable, obviously. If you don't have the cable, you can use like Bluetooth connection with your turntable, which I have a Bluetooth turntable, and it just sounds great. So even using those Bluetooth 2 devices that transmit audio at Bluetooth 2.0, it still sounded excellent. One last issue that everybody's been facing is adjusting the headphones. Because the adjuster knobs are on top, you're gonna have all kinds of misfires and issues with that when you're pulling your headphones on and adjusting them. So they recommend like, oh, take off your headphones when you're adjusting them. But that's just a pain in the ass. Like any other pair of headphones I have, I can easily just adjust them on my head. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the reported issues. I'm really worried about this mesh just like ripping over time. Like I'm pushing pretty hard here. So if you use these every day on your head, like it's probably gonna sag. But I hope this was helpful. You know, I wanted to wait a little while to do the review so I could actually put these to the test. While there's a lot of game-changing features on this, there's just so much that was rushed with the testing of these headphones to meet the holiday season. The fact that they're like a Gen 1 pair of headphones from Apple, it's their first over-ear headphone that they've ever done. Personally, unfortunately, I want to love these. I want to keep them, but knowing there's this condensation issue with no IP rating, like I can't knowingly recommend these headphones with that big of an issue. Will literally destroy headphones over time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can check out some of my other headphone reviews, which I'll put up here. If you like this content, go ahead and give me a subscribe. I'll be posting some more videos on this. Leave a comment below. Did you get the AirPods Max? What do you think? What were some of the features that you loved, you hated? I'd love to hear from you guys. Until next time, I'm Michael, and thanks so much for watching.